Governor, if you place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me, sir. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I am duly qualified.
That I am duly qualified.
According to the Constitution of this state.
According to the Constitution of this state.
To exercise the duties of the office.
To exercise the duties of the office.
Of Governor of South Carolina.
Of Governor of South Carolina.
To which I have been elected.
To which I have been elected.
And that I will, to the best of my ability.
And that I will, to the best of my ability.
Discharge the duties thereof.
Discharge the duties thereof.
And I'll preserve, protect, and defend.
I will preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of this state.
Constitution of this state.
And of the United States.
And of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The South Carolina Air National Guard salutes Governor Henry Dargan McMaster with a flight of 2 F-16 Fighting Falcons from the 169th Fighter Wing, McEntire Joint National Guard Base.
Be seated, please. That's the sound of freedom.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of the great state of South Carolina, His Excellency Henry Dargan McMaster.
Thank you. What a wonderful day. I'm almost inclined to yield my time to those young people singing. I don't know if I've ever heard more beautiful music. As they were singing, I was reminded of a song from long ago. It was this was in the 60s, popularized by Nat King Cole and later by Bobby Darin. The name of the song was Nature Boy. And it had a line, it said, "The greatest thing you will ever learn is to give love and receive love in return." And that's what I was thinking, listening to those people, those youngsters, have their whole lives ahead of them. And it's our job to see that they and others reach their full potential in happiness in our great state. I'm happy to welcome you to this magnificent State House, this historic State House on another beautiful South Carolina day. Your presence expresses your confidence in our bright future. The people of our great state have given me the honor and privilege of serving as your governor for another 4 years. My family and I thank you deeply. If we were at the famous Darlington Raceway today, these early days of 23 would be the moment we hold our breath just before the green flag is dropped. Much history has been made here, and we're about to make some more. I have in my office a framed drawing of the city of Charleston from the view of Sullivan's Island, dated 1739, accompanied by a report inscribed upon it and addressed to as follows, quote, "His Excellency James Glenn Esquire, Captain General, Governor, and Commander-in-Chief, in and over His Majesty's province of South Carolina, and Vice Admiral of the same." And it goes on, humbly inscribed by his much obliged humble servant, B. Roberts. It was, according to the inscription, published according to Act of Parliament by B. Roberts and W. H. Toms, June 9, 1739. It reads in part, "Charlestown, the metropolis of the province of South Carolina, is presently pleasantly situated between Cooper and Ashley rivers. The climate of Carolina is extremely agreeable and wholesome, and may well be looked upon as the most temperate part of the habitable earth. It is the fairest and most fruitful province belonging to Great Britain. Its silk is preferable to any, and its rice is the best in the world. So that it is no wonder of Charlestown be now a very great and flourishing town, adorned with handsome and commodious buildings, among which the Church of St. Philip may justly be reckoned the finest structure in America. This town and province may justly be esteemed the most flourishing of any of His Majesty's dominions in America. End of quote. I believe that Mr. B. Roberts' estimation of the remarkable nature of South Carolina was completely accurate. We know that it was shared by the French and the Spanish explorers and their sovereigns before him, and by the Native Americans before them. And I believe it is still true today, with the notable exception that South Carolina no longer belongs to King George, but to us. Unmentioned but implicit in the success observed by Mr. B. Roberts is the character, nature, and circumstances of the inhabitants of the province of South Carolina, that is, the people. According to historian Walter Edgar, our early inhabitants had arrived at different times under a variety of conditions from 8 European countries, as many as 25 West African cultures, today comprising 4 countries, and over 25 Native American nations, those bearing such familiar names as Congaree, Combee, Kiowa, Catawba, Waccamaw, Pee and Edisto. Through those years and centuries long ago and up to our living memories, our people have seen it all. Hurricanes, fires, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, piracy, Indian wars, indentured servitude, slavery, a revolutionary war, a civil war, world wars, and others. No state has a more fascinating, momentous history than our own. And through it all, and perhaps because of it, we have grown, endured, and prospered. The greatest asset we have is each other, the people, the great, unique people of South Carolina. Today, when business leaders from around the world measure the assets of our state, they remark on our people, the character and nature of the people themselves. Visitors do the same. They sense their loyalty, patriotism, kindness, and steadfastness. They see the natural paradise in which we work and live. They see the historic confluence of our Judeo-Christian and military traditions, and they like what they see, sometimes more clearly than we do ourselves. For these reasons and more, our economy is flourishing and opportunities abound. I view our foundations for great prosperity and happiness as resting on 3 pillars: economic strength, education, and our natural environment. But we know that a goal without a plan is only a dream. Today, our economy is as strong as it's ever been in modern times. South Carolina's booming economy has once again created a record surplus. So it should come as no surprise that in 2022 was the most successful year for economic development in our state's history. In fact, we broke the record for the largest economic development project announcement, not once, but twice in the same year. State government is in superior fiscal shape. We have the largest rainy day reserve and fund balance and lowest amount of debt than any other time in recent memory. Until recently, South Carolina had the highest personal income tax rate in the Southeast and the 12th highest in the nation, but no more. Last year, I was honored to sign into law the largest income tax cut in South Carolina history. And many thanks to the General Assembly for that fine work. We have made and will continue to make transformative investments in our state's infrastructure, from widening interstates, repairing and replacing roads, bridges, and highways, to over $1.5 billion for new water, sewer, and stormwater in our beautiful rural communities. We are setting our state on an accelerated path to compete globally for new jobs and investment. We dredged our Charleston Harbor at 52 feet, the deepest on the Atlantic coast, and able to handle the biggest ships in the world, any day, any time, on any tide. We relied on common sense and the Constitution during the pandemic. And while other states faltered, ours flew, with some of our businesses having their best years ever. One moment. Oh. As once all roads led to Rome, today all quests for prosperity lead to education. Education has been described as a foot race in which the baton of knowledge is passed from one generation to the next. The historian Barbara Tuchman wrote, "Books are the carriers of civilization. Without books, history is silent, literature dumb, science crippled, thought and speculation at a standstill. Without books, the development of civilization would have been impossible." We must do whatever it takes to see that every child in our state has the opportunity to receive an excellent education. Albert Einstein said, quote, "A problem can never be solved by thinking on the same level that produced it." He was right. We must think big and bold, and we will. Standing here 4 years ago, I said, being perceived as weak in education is not good, but being perceived as not committed to fixing it is disastrous. 6 years ago, the minimum starting salary for a teacher in South Carolina was $30,113. Today, it is $40,000. My goal is by 2026 is that we have a minimum starting salary of at least $50,000. Until last year, South Carolina's system for funding K-12 education was archaic and confusing. A piecemeal system consisting of 29 separate line item appropriations. Now, a consolidated formula makes sure that the funding follows the child and provides transparency for parents. To increase the percentage of children who enter our public schools ready to learn, we extended full-day 4-year kindergarten to all at-risk children in the state. Today, we are serving 16,103 children in this program, which is an all-time high. And ladies and gentlemen, we have placed an ARM-certified school resource officer, known as SROs, in 90% of our state's public schools. 90%. And we will not stop until there is an officer in every school, in every county, all day, every day. We know that access to an affordable degree or skilled trade certificate is essential to ensure that our state has the trained and educated workforce to compete for jobs and investment in the future. To that end, we have frozen college tuition for 4 straight years and provided a record amount of financial aid and scholarships to students in need. To address the historic labor shortage, our workforce scholarships have allowed over 10,000 South Carolinians to earn an industry credential in high-demand careers like manufacturing, healthcare, computer science, information technology, transportation, logistics, and constructions. And remember, go ahead. We're on a roll, y'all. Remember, businesses in the United States and abroad have clearly demonstrated their desire to bring their fortunes and facilities to South Carolina to employ our people. They are, to coin a phrase, they're putting their money where our people are. What we must do now is double down. We must continue investing in our people to ensure that they are prepared to reap the benefits of our future prosperity. This brings us to the third pillar of our prosperity, our natural and cultural heritage. Few states, if any, can match the natural beauty, bounty, and variety of South Carolina, from the mountains to the sea. And few can match the elegance and craftsmanship of our historic homes, churches, and synagogues and other structures found in our land, including in Beaufort, Charleston, Georgetown, and Camden, built during the times when Mother Nature herself was the sole source and fount of our prosperity. I truly believe if we can't find peace, happiness, and comfort in the pine forests and tidal creeks of South Carolina, we'll just have to wait till we all get to heaven. Numerous scholars recognize that the Revolutionary War was won here, with over 200 battlefields and skirmishes in Britain's unsuccessful southern campaign, notably the battles of Kings Mountain and Cowpens. Many historical sites still need markers today, including the camp of General Francis Marion and his patriots in the Pee Dee swamps. The British could not find it, and we can't either. Our Gullah Geechee culture in the Low Country is surviving today as a link to the past. We must preserve it. Our magnificent live oaks have seen more history than any of us here. This natural and cultural heritage is an integral part of our quality of life. It's why we stay here, why others come, many as tourists and some as investors. And with them, ladies and gentlemen, comes money. Sometimes millions, even billions. And from that come jobs and careers, which, in turn, produce funds for school and educations, which, in turn, produce a deep appreciation of our natural and cultural heritage. And so the cycle goes round and round, up and up. We recently created a new cabinet agency called the Office on Resilience, which adopted the findings of our Floodwater Commission. Its purposes include measuring our strengths and weaknesses concerning flooding, erosion, and the conditions of our rivers, coasts, and barrier islands, and to mitigate, accommodate, and respond to flooding, and also to coordinate efforts of economic and natural resilience with governmental and non-governmental agencies and entities. Vigorous economic growth and the preservation of our shared natural heritage and environment are not opposing objectives which must be balanced as in a competition, one against the other. Instead, they are complementary, intertwined, and inseparable, each dependent on the other. Each can be accomplished to the fullest if we plan now and be bold. The big question today is, will anyone recognize South Carolina, our South Carolina, in 100 years? Will we allow our state's cultural and environmentally significant structures, monuments, lands, islands, and waterways to be lost forever to overdevelopment, mismanagement, or flooding, erosion, or from storm damage? Or will we preserve and protect our history and environment and the public's access to them? This is our moment to act while we still can. And of course, to preserve these great resources and realize our full economic and educational potentials, we have to do something. Our first duty, the first duty of government, is to keep South Carolinians safe. To do that, we must maintain a robust law enforcement presence and fully fund the police. And also, when we do that, we need to close the revolving door for career criminals, keeping them behind bars and not out on bail while they do it again. This also includes stronger laws to keep illegal guns out of the hands of criminals and juveniles. We must also ensure that the public has confidence in whom and how we elect all of our judges, how we select our judges, by making the processes more transparent and accountable so that every South Carolinian, born and unborn, may enjoy life, liberty, and happiness. Thank you. In closing, to all my friends in the General Assembly, and that's all members of the General Assembly, the state of South Carolina is richly blessed with a hardworking and talented people. We know that. I have faith in our people, and I have faith in those whom we have elected to represent them in this State House. I say, let us continue our successful partnership, one that has been based on communication, collaboration, and cooperation, and let us set our state on a course that will provide the opportunity for prosperity, success, and happiness for generations of South Carolinians to come. Ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come. May God continue to bless America and our great state of South Carolina.